Pokemon Red, no center, no Mart, by Crrool. Take it away, buddy.
Thank you, Argic, and welcome everybody to Pokemon Red, no centers, no marts. An interesting little challenge run. It's a bit different from your regular any percent glitchless runs, but let me very briefly explain the rules, and then we'll get started. So, we need to beat the game as fast as possible. We cannot use any centers, we cannot use any marts, and this includes things like Mom Heal, heal tiles, NPC heals, buying like extra Safari Zone trips, or for example. There's two exceptions. I need to buy a freshwater, and I need to buy one visit to the Safari Zone because those are required by the story. And that's pretty much it. So before we begin, by the way, Argic, in case there are any last-minute donations for the trainer name or rival name, I'll need to know them basically now.
Unfortunately, there is nothing at the moment, so it looks like you're going to have free reign on that.
That works for me. Then a Nidoran name we're cutting off in about, I want to say about 7 minutes. So, just so you know.
Well, you heard him. You've got 7 minutes to get your donations in to name the Nidoran.
Okay, Tech, I hope you guys are ready, because we're starting in 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, here we go. Pokemon Red, no centers, no mart. The first part of the game is going to look somewhat similar up until the point that we need to catch our Nidoran, which is the main that's also used in the, okay, hold on. I'm going to name myself BSG. Gonna just do that squeaky little thing here, and we're gonna name our rival UKSG. How about that?
Oh, is that how it is it?
That's how it is. There we go. No, but seriously, we're just gonna get through the game. We're gonna like early on, the main danger for us is that we're gonna be incredibly short on heal items, which is why we're gonna pick up every single potion that we can get on the way. We're also not actually going to be able to buy any Pokeballs, and you're not given any at the start of the game, so we're going to have to deal with the one Pokeball we can get early on. So, we'll see how that goes. I'll save before getting the Nidoran catch, so it'll be okay. Looking very uninterested there in what the professor has to say. To be honest, I mean, what the professor says here is pretty boring anyway. So we're gonna get ourselves the starter. We're gonna take Squirtle because he's a water type move for the first gym, and by the time we get to the second gym, we don't actually use our starter anymore. And with that, we're going to start with the rival fight. This is immediately a little bit of a dangerous fight. Probably one of the less dangerous fights in this run. There's quite going to be potential threats that we have to deal with. But this one is mostly annoying because he'll lose me a potion, and that would be really bad. We're going to Tail Whip the Bulbasaur. I'm going to actually Tail Whip again since he growled me turn 1. Of course, he gets a crit right away, so that's a great start. So all I want to do here is I want to win the fight, hopefully without having to resort to using my potion. The fact that I've already missed twice and he's crit me twice is not making this look very good, though. Yeah, we're going to have to use it. So this is kind of worst case scenario already, because now I'm going to be down 1 potion for later on. That doesn't have to be a problem, but it can be a problem. Really slow and a really bad fight. That's... Well, we're gonna just deal with that. We can make it work. Master Ball saved for which Pokemon? We're not ever gonna actually pick up the Master Ball at all. We don't need it. Okay, so the next part is going to look very similar to the normal any percent glitchless run. We're going to be picking up the parcel for the professor. The professor is going to get some Pokeballs. On the way, though, we're going to stop here to pick up that extra potion. That's one that we can get. On the way, I want to try and find a level 2 Pidgey or Rattata. So this is actually perfect, because that gives me exactly enough experience to hit level 8 Bubble. I don't know what the frame drops are, but I can say that they're not on my end. So that's all I'm gonna... We got another Rattata here. From here on, it doesn't matter. I already got enough. It pretty much get me through the rest of the game. Like, we don't need more extra experience this early on anymore. I'm gonna get the parcel here from this guy, and then we're gonna go back to the professor. In every generation of Pokemon after this one, the professor would normally give me 5 Pokeballs right away for catching stuff. In this game, that's not a thing. They didn't introduce that until Gen 2, and it's one of the biggest problems that we have to deal with early on. Let's run, there'd be 3 Pokemon that I would attempt to get. I would be getting the Nidoran, which is our main Pokemon for the majority of the game. I'd be getting a Paris for the moves Cut and Dig, and I'd be getting a Pidgey or a Spearow for Fly. In this run, that's not an option. We only have 2 Pokeballs we can get early enough that we can make it work. One of which is going to be used for the Nidoran, one of which is going to be used for specifically a Spearow. And that way we can trade it for a Farfetch'd, which can learn all of the other moves that we would need. Do you though, Jack? I don't know that you do. Not that it matters much. There's one other Pokeball we can pick up that is kind of somewhat conveniently placed, but also not really. We're just going to try and get it. And then from there we'll try and get the Nidoran. The Nidoran is honestly the part that has me probably the most worried in this run. We only have 1 Pokeball to catch it, and despite Nidoran not being as overpowered in this run as it is in the normal any percent glitchless run, it's still an incredibly powerful Pokemon to be using. Another thing, by the way, this fireman just said don't die. We're actually not allowed to faint. If we faint, like the entire we party wipe at some point in the run, that would mean that we use a center, therefore that's not allowed. So we actually like, I have to then resort to my last save if I still want the run to be legit. We're gonna do a quick visit to the forest here, get ourselves that 1 Pokeball for Nidoran. In the normal glitchless run, Nidoran is mainly overpowered because of the X accuracy, an item that allows us to completely bypass accuracy checks, making Horn Drill 100% accurate. Now, in this run, there are still a few X accuracies I can pick up, but they are much, much more limited. So we're actually going to be using other moves from Nidoran to beat most of the opponents in the game. Okay, so we're going to do an RNG manipulation here, and this is where we're going to cut off the Nidoran incentive. So, Argic, if you have a name, now would be the time.
Unfortunately, we don't have a name, so I'm very worried now about how you're going to be beating up UKSG.
Okay. I just realized, by the way, I can't even do YOLO Bulmanip because I don't have a one-letter name. That's okay. So this Nidoran catch basically boils down to a 1 in 3. Okay, let's see if we get it. Okay, attempt number 2. So this is just how it's going to be. I love it when my controller misses an input there. So we pretty much we buffer through the entire opening screen. And this is to guarantee us getting the Nidoran, which is a... Okay, why is that not... I got it first try, no problem, and now I'm failing at it. There we go. So this guarantees us getting the Nidoran, and it actually guarantees us getting one that's good enough, because it's incredibly specific what kind of Nidoran we need. Okay, we got him. I actually kind of like the idea of... we've got BSG, UKSG, and ESA now.
That's pretty cool.
Hey, that is one of the worst parts of the game now out of the way. We have a Nidoran with near-perfect stats. Basically, every stat in the game of a Pokemon has a randomly assigned value between 0 and 15, which basically determines how good our stats is. 0 is really bad, 15 is perfect. This particular Nidoran has 15 on attack, so perfect there. 11 defense, 14 speed, and 14 special, which makes it a really, really good Nidoran to work with. We get the antidote over here, and with that we're just going to get through the rest of the forest. There are 2 more potions I can pick up, which we're desperately going to need, and I'll be saving before the Weedle fight, because with how much damage we took on the first fight, and me already being down a potion, I can't really afford to use a lot of potions from here on. Okay, so we'll save the game here. This is just one of the more dangerous parts. Just as a general statement in advance, like, the estimate you may have already seen is like 250, which is actually really high for this run. My PB is like a 2... Okay, this is a... Okay, we're gonna just reset that. My PB is a 235, and that's with a death. So, it's a really safe estimate, and that's particularly because this fight can be so because certain fights in this game can be so dangerous sometimes, especially early on. Towards the later part of the run, almost everything is routed out in a very consistent manner, but the early part of the game, definitely not so much. It's just a lot of RNG that we have to deal with. Okay, so this is basically the perfect start of the fight. 2 string shots, that's what we want to see. It's fine if we get poisoned, I just don't want to get poisoned early. Because I want to... Okay, crits are bad there. Okay, how many potions does that leave me with? This is not going as planned. This is really not going as planned. At least he's doing string shots there. Okay, I think we can make this work. That was not a great fight, but I think we can make this work. 17 health should be enough. We're gonna use the antidote that we picked up right away. I gotta get rid of that. Can't really... Like, 17 is about as low as I want it to be. Like, lower than that could be a real issue. Brock is still gonna be a dangerous fight, and from there we're gonna switch to Nidoraan a bit more consistent again. So we've got 4 potions, and those 4 basically have to get us pretty much through most of the game. Overall, we're, like, towards the end, we generally have enough options for heal items. There's not too much that can happen, but early on, which is kind of where we need the heal items the most, we're kind of limited in what we have. So we kind of just have to go with what we can pick up. I'll be potions that we normally wouldn't get in Mount Moon. And that's just little bits that we can use to keep up with our healing here. So we lead Nidoraan here, mainly because we need Nidoraan to level. Down to 10, that's not great. This is probably, yeah, I think this is going to be a reset. Very likely. Yep. This is why we saved before this fight. Off to a very rocky start here, honestly. By the way, Argik, if anything does come in, just interrupt me.
I will do, buddy.
Because I'm just gonna keep going with what I do. Okay, so, attempt number 2. We really want to see defense Crrool here. Unfortunately, our special on Squirtle isn't great, which means that we need an extra turn, which makes this an even more dangerous fight. We could luck, or like that, a tackle miss. That's good. Okay. 10 HP. We can make that work, because we should get to level 9 off of this. We see our Nidoraan grow as well. Okay. This is, we just have to luck out here. Bite is not the greatest, but it's not terrible. Okay, so he's going to unleash the energy now, so I can just bubble. He doesn't actually do any damage. That's a good start. Good, we win. Not a great start of the run, but we got a big deal. There we go. Level 8, we get... That's our big move for this next sequence. With Nidoraan, the health from Squirtle right now doesn't matter anymore. We're ready to go. So we get the TM for Bide. That one's completely useless. It's just literally nothing no reason why we would need. We're gonna ignore the Mart because we're not away. And we're gonna move on to Route 3. So there's a few fights here that are required. Some of them can be scary. Most of these fights though aren't too dangerous. The main threat for this route is the second fight. We have to fight a youngster Joey there, and he has a Rattata that can do a lot of damage. It's actually supposed to have this in the front. that right? No, that's not right. Okay, whatever. Looking over my notes, I actually did that wrong. That's fine. I have an idea. That's really a crit I didn't want to see there. But we still got the 2-shot at least. There we got the Leo. So here, because I want to conserve some power points on Horn Attack, we're actually going to use Tackle instead. The Weedle can't really do a lot of damage to us. Like, his Poison Sting only does 1. So this is actually one where it's relatively safe for us to just use Tackle instead. I do have to remember that I'm down a little bit of experience. So I probably will have to fight later on to make up for it. Though from the looks of it... Nice. Okay, so because I could tackle there, we actually saved one extra Horn Attack, which I can use to make up the loss in experience. I'm gonna use 1 potion here on the Nidoran. Make sure that he's fully healed. We're gonna toss the TM, I have no use for it. And we're gonna go into the youngster fight. So this is the fight where we're going to actually use Squirtle for a little bit, and this is all just to ensure that we take as little damage as possible with our Nidoran. This Rattata can do a lot of damage, so what we're going to do instead is we're going to use Tackle and then Tail Whips. So that once we get the chance to switch, we can just immediately start attacking with Horn Attack. Oh, that's really unfortunate. That is really unfortunate, actually. We got the win, but we are dangerously low on health. Yeah, saving is allowed. So we're not allowed to use any centers or marts throughout the game. This includes... Okay, this kind of sucks. This includes basically anything that gets me a heal or anything that gets me or anything that I would buy, basically. So saving, just especially for the sake of the marathon, that's going to be fine. I have to tackle here. Of course we miss. Luckily he just went with Leer. That was not... This has not been going great so far. We're still fine in terms of health. We still have enough potions to make it work, but we're definitely lower than I'd like to be. So this fight, we actually have a very weird setup. Again, we're going to have to try and save up as many Horn Attacks as possible. After this route, I need bare minimum 8 Horn Attacks left. Anything less than that, and it's a problem. So we're going to be using Tackle on the Weedle here because he can't actually do that much to us. And just try and save up another 2 Horn Attacks so that we have more later on. Like, outside of the... Or it doesn't really matter too much how many we have, but we need 8 left. The tackles doesn't matter. Even if I have almost none left after this route, that's fine. We're gonna learn several new moves very soon, including Water Gun and Mega Punch. Those are kind of going to have to be our replacements until we get access to the move Trash. I could really use a crit here. Nito, could you please? This is awful, but unfortunately we got string shot by the Weedle twice, so we're slower. That's just gonna drain even more time here. You know it, Zeta, but we gotta use Mega Miss for how do you... For a while. We just don't have access to any better options. Okay, we should be okay here. This part of the fight is going to take a while unless we get a crit. That's just how it is. Crit rates in this game are actually kind of high on account of the crits being based off of your base speed, which gets progressively better, especially once we get Nidoking. It's actually kind of good. But early on, it's not great, and we're already running low on tackles. Again, it doesn't matter how many tackles I have left after this fight, as long as we have some left. I'd like to have some. Because there is... Of course we get the crit at the very end when it doesn't matter. Because there is still one more fight that we need to do, one more Butt Catcher. How many tackles do I... Actually... Just quickly trying to see how we're doing. Okay, yeah. So, I'm gonna have to... Because of how many tackles we needed, I'm actually gonna have to change up my route a little bit. And I'll be teaching Water Gun over Tackle instead of over Horn Attack. We're just too low on Tackle power points. Actually, let me use another couple Horn Attacks. We're still fine in that regard. Normally, I'd be a lot lower on Horn Attack, and I'd have a lot more tackles left. And since we're going to replace Tackle with Water Gun in a moment, I can just use as many as I have, essentially. We get Poison Sting here. That's not going to do too much for us. But it's a nice backup move to have. In the normal glitchless run, I'd be trying to catch a flyer there, but since we don't have any Pokeballs, since we couldn't buy any, that's not going to be an option. So we're just going to move on towards Mount Moon. Now our Mount Moon is going to look very different from what most Mount Moons would be like. Normally we would just rush through this this cave. There's a manipulation even to make it even faster. For us, however, we have quite a bit of stuff to pick up here. I'm actually going to kill this Zubat because I missed out on some experience earlier that I wasn't supposed to miss. This should make up for it. Of course he crit me. That's fine though. There's a potion here that we can definitely use. Make sure that that guy is off screen so that we don't have to deal with him. So the No Centers, No Mart challenge, it's actually been around for quite a number of years even. I was originally started, I think 2014, 2015 somewhere, so it's been around for a while. By Zernus. He doesn't actually stream anymore, but he was kind of the guy who started this challenge. Since then, it's also been done for Gen 2 for Pokemon Crystal. I started a run of that. It's literally only been like a few days since I've done that version of the challenge. Yeah, I need to be careful here. I need 8 horn attacks left after this fight, honestly. I'm gonna have to use some other moves to make things work. I have 2 tackles. We're gonna use that. But yeah, back in the day that he ran this, RNG manipulations weren't a thing yet. So a lot of his route relied on really good RNG, because this run isn't possible unless you have a near-perfect Nidoran to work with from the start. Okay, that was all right. We still have 8 horn attacks. We're completely out of tackle, but we have 8 horn attacks, which is enough for me to make this work. Pick up the potion over here, and then we've got one more trainer to face before we evolve. Now that trainer I would usually use horn attacks on as well. We'll see how the fight is gonna go, because I can't really afford to use more. We need the horn attacks specifically for the rival fight later on, as well as a bug catcher, because we're slightly too short. Why did I pick up the escape rope? I didn't actually need that. We're slightly too short on crap, how do you call that? Too short on Mega Punches to make it work with just Mega Punch. Also, Mega Punch's inaccuracy doesn't help us. So this Oddish is going to be a bit of a pain. It'll say here that it's not very effective, but that's not entirely accurate. Poison Sting is actually normal effective. The way that it works in Gen 1 is it'll still show it, because compared to one of the types, it is not very effective. But because it's Oddish is a dual type and the grass part is weak to poison, we can still just use it no problem. So with the Bellsprout, we should actually be fine. Or not. Thought it was going to be normal effective. I guess I was wrong. Or super effective. I guess I was wrong. That's okay. The 4 hit, but we'll win. And that gets us through this fight. So we'll get level 16 here. We'll be able to evolve. And that actually opens up a lot of options for us. The fact that we evolve here means that we can now learn Water Gun, so we can get rid of Tackle, and we've got some power points again. And in a little bit, we'll be able to evolve into Nidoking, which is going to be really helpful for pretty much the entire remainder of the game, honestly. Let me not forget to teach Water Gun here. M12. Over Tackle. And now we just have to make our way through the cave for a little bit, so Argig, if you have stuff to talk about, feel free to take over for a bit.
No worries, Ty, very much. Just want to let you all know that we are raising money for Crisis. They are fundraising to raise money to end homelessness. Right now, during the pandemic here, they are doing all that they can to keep their services open, providing advice to helping people find somewhere to live and supporting them with their health and well-being during this stressful time. They're adapting the way that they work to meet people's immediate needs and looking at how they can get more homes and ways to contact people through remote technology to help them when it's not safe to do face-to-face conversations. This is a time to support each other, so they're helping other grassroots homeless charities and provide vital services to ensure that they can all carry on supporting everyone. They've already set up an emergency grant scheme to do this and have committed £250,000 of their own money to do so. We are also raising money here. 100% of our donations will be going to Crisis. So do please keep your donations coming in. They are much appreciated.
Fireman, with which Pokeball should I have caught that Clefairy? I don't have any Pokeballs, so... But yeah, we did get to see a rare Clefairy just now. We're doing this hiker fight real quick just because we need some extra experience, and this is the safest and most consistent way to get that experience. Doing the hiker fight here is actually a very old any percent glitchless strat that we would normally use if your stats weren't good enough. But because of the way it works out and because we need Water Gun anyway, it's still a very, very quick, very consistent fight for us to do. And it gets us enough experience that I don't have to worry about random encounters on the way. On top of that, it means that we're going to be able to get the move Trash, which is one of our main attacking moves over the course of this run, one fight earlier, which actually saves us both in taking damage and just in general PowerPoint management by quite a bit. We're getting quite unlucky with the random encounters so far. That's a little bit of a shame. We're gonna just have to deal with it, but it's a little bit unfortunate that so far random encounters have kind of been trolling us. Now, optimally speaking, it would be possible to RNG manipulate parts of this cave, even now, and it would still be worth it. But A, I don't know those manipulations, B, I'm kind of rusty, honestly. I'll be fair in that. I mean, up until about 6 days ago, I wasn't even going to be in the marathon. This was a replacement run for another runner that couldn't make it. So, yeah, not a lot of chances to prepare much. For an Evolve into Nidoking here, gets us a fantastic buff to our stats. The reason we waited to so long is because Nidoking's Cry is about half a second slower than the Cry from Nidorino. We're gonna teach Mega Punch. Get rid of Leer. And then it's time for us to start the fight with this Rocket Grunt. So Mega Punch has one really annoying problem. It is not 100% accurate. And if we miss it, that could be a really big problem. Because we have 20 power points, so we are actually allowed to miss a few. But the more we miss, the worse it gets. So far, so good. That is a really unfortunate damage range for us to miss. I'm gonna make it through the rest of the fight with Water Gun then. I honestly didn't even know that that was a damage range. My notes don't even mention that. So unlikely to miss that. I'll do a safety save before this fight, especially with how low we're starting to get on the HP. The Super Nerd here, usually it's a pretty straightforward fight. It usually still is now, but we do have to rely a lot on Mega Punches. We use a combination of Mega Punch and Water Gun to get us through this fight. I need to save those last few Horn attacks for some fights coming up, so need to be very careful in what I do and don't use. Okay, we hit all of the Mega Punches, and we got a crit on the Coughing. That actually does save some time. We're gonna pick up the Helix Fossil. Not that that fossil is gonna be relevant in any way, but we're gonna pick up the Helix Fossil.
Praise Helix.
Yes, agreed. And with that, we're gonna make our way out of the cave. So this has been a really bad early game overall. But we're getting close to being through the worst of it all. We're actually going to do one more catch, though. This is very important. Because we still need an HM slave. We have nothing that can currently learn the move Cut, and we have nothing that can learn Fly. And conveniently for us, there is a solution to this. There's a Spearow in the grass over here, and we can trade Spearow for Farfetch'd. Now the advantage of Farfetch'd is it can learn all of the HMs that we need that Squirtle can't learn. So it actually makes for a really good option. So I picked up the Great Ball there, and we're gonna just hope that we get a Spearow quickly. First encounter, so far so good. Spearow lives a Poison Sting, so I'm actually gonna use one Poison Sting to up our catch chances significantly. Poison's a bit annoying, but it's not the end of the world. And then we're just gonna toss a Great Ball, and this is almost guaranteed to be in. And we got it. That wasn't 100%, by the way. I think it's like 90-something% to get in. So the odds are definitely good. Unfortunately, I don't have another antidote to deal with the poison, so we're just gonna have to sit through the poison animation. Up through this building, there's one more rare candy that we're going to be picking up. The unfortunate part about the Spearow being poisoned, we have another Pokemon that we have one fewer Pokemon that we can fall back on in case things go poorly. That will especially be a problem in this fight. B, every time that poison animation happens, we lose like just a tiny bit of time. And it's really annoying because like it really throws me off with my movement there. Okay, time for the rival fight. I probably should have used a potion before going into this fight. Probably should have. We're just gonna try it, and if we die, then I'll reload the save. That's unfortunate. I figured that the Pidgeotto is actually a damage range, so I figured it was worth a try. Okay, now let's actually heal though. I should have done that in the first place. Those last few potions that we have, I'm going to need those to heal before Misty. So I'm actually going to leave my potions as much as possible from this point onward. Quick attacks are fine, generally speaking. The only thing we really don't want to see is Sand Attack, which this time, this is about how I was hoping the fight to go. That's fine, because I could have used a potion during Abra to heal up if needed. We can use a Horn Attack there. That's really bad. Okay. Still alive. And then the Bulbasaur is never going to be a one-shot, but we can two-shot it this way. Okay. We are alive. That's a good thing. But we're down to 12 HP. I'm thinking it might be worth it for me to just use the 2 remaining potions. The risk with that is that it can make the Misty fight potentially very scary. So this first fight is actually going to be a little bit different. We're going to be using Poison Sting for the Caterpie. That'll going to get us a 2-shot guaranteed. which is always faster unless you get the Caterpie poisoned. So normally I would use Mega Punch here, but Horn Attack actually kills as well. That's the advantage of having Horn Attack here instead of Tackle. It just gives us a little bit more options to work with. I'm going to save here because of how low on health we are, and I don't want to lose the progress we have with defeating the rival fight here. Okay, so we're gonna Mega Punch the Pidgey. Unfortunately, we got Quick Attacked. That can both be a blessing and a curse, honestly. We're now in Red Bar, and in Red Bar, like, Red Bar has some advantages for us as well. While in Red Bar, you hear, like, the jingle constantly, which is a little bit annoying, admittedly. But the big advantage of this jingle is that as that jingle happens, we are not... We're basically skipping through all the cries from Pokemon, the cries from my own Pokemon, that sort of stuff, level up jingles. So it can actually make things a little bit faster as well. Yes, gaming. If I die, the run would be over. So we have a good strat for that. Don't die. Okay, so all of that went well. We got to level 23, and this is or level 21, but we have 2 candies to level to 23, and that gets us into our next important thing. We are now going to get the move we're now going to get the move Trash. And Trash is probably one of the most powerful moves that we get over the course of this run. We're going to get rid of Poison Sting, because it's not that powerful, it doesn't do much for us. And it's time for us to trigger the next few fights. From here on, most of the fights are going to be very easy. The main thing we're now hoping for is just to not get hit by quick attacks. Not a lot of things have quick attack, luckily. Or miss a damage range like that. Again, I didn't even realize it was a range. Not a huge deal. Yo, Hammer! And hey, Cairo! By the way, to anyone watching through my own stream, be sure to check out the UKSG stream as well. That's where the restream is happening. Twitch.tv/ESA Marathon. I'll post a link in my chat in a moment. We get the nugget here. Unfortunately for us, nuggets are completely worthless because, let's be fair, we can't actually use them anyway. So we're just gonna deal with this last trainer, this Rocket Grunt. Not a difficult fight. He has a few Pokemon, but we just use Trash and we win. That's oftentimes our strat. So thanks for the good luck, Clover. By the way, while we make our way through a bunch of different trainers here, if you guys like Pokemon runs, I stream Pokemon, like, I aim for 5 days a week. I haven't actually been able to the past, like, week or so, but... and I run not only Pokemon Red, but pretty much every kind of Pokemon out there. And when I say every, I literally mean every Pokemon game. So if you like seeing Pokemon speedruns, especially the bit weird things like this, be sure to check out my channel as well. Would greatly appreciate that. Anyway, with that said, back to the actual run. This Machop, of course, we happen to miss, and he gets a crit on us. That's a great start. And we're dead. As you can see, I can survive a crit Karate Chop. But then I still need to not miss. Yes, Kiara, I'm just gonna go full sellout for the marathon. You know how it is. Oh no, not too much, honestly, but just a tiny little bit. Okay, attempt number 2. Mega Punch. So he does Karate Chop again, gets another crit. That's, of course, just my luck. Okay, we're down to 3 HP. That does mean I'm gonna have to heal before one of the upcoming fights, but I'm gonna keep Red Bar just a little bit longer. Now, the reason we actually want this Hiker and not the other one that we could have also fought is there's an elixir here. And that elixir is very needed for PowerPoint management over the course of this run. The amount of PowerPoints that we have is incredibly limited throughout the entire game. So we have to pretty much manage every single move that we use. Because you already saw me run out at one point earlier. So we pretty much try to pick up every ether and elixir and that sort of stuff that we can get. Okay, so this is where I'm going to be using the 2 potions. I'm too scared of quick attacks just randomly killing me at this point. Two more trainers that we have to deal with. This one, and then there is a Lass at the end, and from there we can go to Misty's gym. So that extra fight that or extra potion we had to use at the very start, this is kind of where it comes in. Had we not had to use it, I would have been able to heal to 67 HP instead of just 47. So now we just kind of have to get lucky in not taking a lot of hits. And that's just going to be RNG. Not much we can do about it. Now luckily for us, there are going to be some heal items that are coming up relatively soon that we can use. There is a, on the way from this town to the next one, there will be a full restore I can pick up. Then on the SSN, we're going to be picking up a, I think it's a max potion or a hyper potion. I think it's max potion. Either way, stuff like that, and that's gonna hopefully be enough that we can actually make it work. We get the ether here, again, PowerPoint management and all that, and we're gonna go talk to Bill. He got himself stuck in... I don't know exactly, but he's like... something with Pokemon, and he looks like a Pokemon, but he's not a Pokemon, he's actually a human. So now we have to use this machine to set him free again. I don't know, something story. There's something to that. But as a thank you, he gives us the SS ticket, which is going to allow us access to the SSN, which is where we get the HM for cut, which is kind of important. Normally, I'd be using an escape rope there to instantly go back to Celadon, but since we never actually been able to use the Pokemon Center in Celadon, I just have to do the Walk of Shame. This thing's usually considered the Walk of Shame, but in this run it's not because we actually just... there's no other option. So, on to Misty's gym. There's 2 trainers that we have to deal with here, and I'm actually going to save before both of them. Or at least before the first one. The first one can confuse me. It has Supersonic, and confusion would be really bad, because if we start hitting ourselves in confusion, we are pretty much just dead. There's just nothing we can do. If we hit Thrash and we crit, then it's an instant win, and there's nothing to be worried about. If we don't crit, then there's a chance that it can do some nasty things. Hopefully it won't, though. Tech is fine. We take 4 damage. I don't like taking damage, but I can deal with that. Now for another dangerous fight. Misty. This fight, at full health, this fight is basically 100% consistent if you enter it at level 25. But, since we don't have enough potions, I'm not full health, so I think even a high roll from Starmie, but at the very minimum, a crit from Starmie will kill me. So that's, yeah, no, that's just a no. We're gonna go into the fight, we're gonna use trash, and we're just gonna hope for the best. I need some health left after this. That's the big problem here. Bubble Beam is not good. Oh boy, that's low. We're gonna just deal with it. I'm about to get a full restore. I really don't want to use set full restore, but... we're just gonna deal with it. This time is already quite bad as it is. I don't want to put the entire marathon at risk. Right now we're still very much on pace for meeting estimate, by the way. Don't worry about that. Our pacing is roughly in the range of like a 243-ish. Okay, next fight. This Rocket Grunt, very easy. Now, the main threat that we're going to have to deal with, and that's kind of why I want it to be higher health, is the trainer after this has 3 Pidgeys, and all 3 of them have quick attack. Normally that wouldn't be such a big problem, but because we're only down to 12 HP, and we still have to get through that, that could be a bit of an issue. I do believe we level off of one of the Pidgeys, so we get a little bit more to work with, but our options are still incredibly limited. Now, the second part of the run, which we're now slowly starting to enter, the main threat in this second part isn't so much the heal items. The second part mainly comes in that in a normal run I'd have a lot of battle items to work with. And because our name is longer, that jingle is more likely to play. Around here somewhere? Okay, I was way too early. There it is. I kind of expected it to be way too early, but was more so than I hoped it to be. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, our main threat becomes the lack of battle items that we have. Normally speaking, in a run, I'd have things like X accuracies, X speeds, X specials, that sort of stuff to just kind of help me get through this part. That would normally be fine. But in this run, I can't buy those. Because we can't buy them, we only have a handful to use. That actually makes things quite a bit more scary. Okay, here I just don't want the Pidgeys to use quick attack. Everything else is fine. Just don't quick attack me. Okay, we should be able to survive another quick attack if it happens, but at that point I would need to heal. I think, assuming we survive this fight, I'm gonna have to use the max potion the moment I pick it up. Luckily, the Raticate usually doesn't quick attack me. So I think we're good here. I think we're good. Okay, so normally I'd go to Assazan right away here, because we actually use this leftmost house to gig and go back to Cerulean, but because we never used the center there, that's not going to be an option anyway. So I can just go in here and get the bike voucher now. This guy gives us the bike voucher, and basically what that does is it allows me to get the bike from the bike shop without having to pay like $1 million or Poké Dollars. So kind of helpful, kind of nice to have. Just a nice little thing to speed things up. And then the moment you've all been waiting for, we're gonna get ducks. This is why I needed the Spearow. We're gonna get ourselves our next Pokemon. So Argake, while we do the trade, if you have anything, go ahead.
Well, I'm seeing some conversations happening in the chat right now about donuts, and as Pollister rightly pointed out there, we do have a few donation incentives going throughout the marathon here. One of them coming up is, of course, the secret donut during the wonderful end of the world. It is currently sitting at $56 out of 200, so it needs another $144. And if we get that, we will be seeing the out of bounds secret donut. But do please keep your donations coming in. As you know, 100% of all donations raised this weekend will be going straight to Crisis. And again, your donations are much appreciated. And now back to the Pokemon.
Yeah, so we're about to enter the SSN, and this part looks very different in this run. Normally we would go straight for the rival, get cut, make our way out as soon as we can. Instead, we're gonna go to the right here, and we're actually gonna pick up a few items. Because we can. So first is in this room. We've got a max potion, and we're actually going to use that right away. I'm gonna go. Oh, let's not use it on ducks. Use it on our boy ESA. I'm gonna toss that. We don't need it. Gonna teach Bubble Beam over Water Gun. Now, Bubble Beam is basically just a more powerful move for us to use. And then the third door. Very important I don't move up there, because that trainer will fight me, but I need this Ether. Now, there is an alternate strat that we can use there, but I think I'm not going to. We have the option to go into the fourth room there and teach to get the move for Rest, which can help us a little bit with our heal item situation. I think I'm going to not get that though. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. I almost missed something very important here. I was just looking through my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. So 1, 2, 3... Actually need to go into this room. We'll fight the gentleman here. That item behind him is a rare candy, and I kind of need that. Plus, this fight is pretty straightforward anyway. We can just use Bubble Beam a few times. There we go. There's the rare candy, and now we can actually move to the rival fight. Again, I'm going to save because these fights can all kind of screw me over one way or another. The rival still leads to Pidgeotto, and the Pidgeotto has the ability to use Sand Attack, which could really mess us up. So we're just gonna see, and we're gonna hope for the best and see what this fight is gonna hold for us. Now the idea here is the Pidgeotto is actually a two-shot with Bubble Beam. The main thing is just I don't want to get hit by... Well, in general, as little as possible. That crit's actually kind of annoying. But the main thing is I don't want to get hit by Sand Attack. Because that just tends to screw me over too much later on. We did a lot of damage overall. Thank you, White. Luckily, seems to be alright. And Trash for the last Pokemon, last couple of Pokemon here. Ivysaur is not a one-shot. Leech Seed is actually fine because that means that the Ivysaur at least didn't do any damage to us. Just a little bit more health that we get to work with. There is one more potion that I can pick up. There's a super potion just before Rock Tunnel. We may have to resort to that one. Now the captain here, he's seasick, so we're gonna help him. And as a thank you, he's going to give us the HM for cut. Now normally, oh, I overmashed. Normally, after you, like the moment you get cut, a jingle would play. But because our name is 3 characters or shorter, we can actually skip it. That saves, like, probably about, like, 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. One of the reasons why I went with a 3-letter name and not anything longer than that. So off the SSN, and that's, and from here we can make our way to the 3rd gym of the game. We're going to go to Lieutenant Surge and see how the puzzle is going to treat us this time. But first we get a cute little animation with the boat sailing away. There's no way to skip this, by the way. We just have to sit through it. Okay, well, conveniently for us, the gym's like right around the corner here, so we can pretty much immediately walk into it. I do, however, need the move Cut, but we just picked that up, so... What we're going to do is we're going to teach that to Farfetch'd. This is why we got Farfetch'd. And then we're going to teach Dig to Squirtle. That's useful for later. Despite us not actually being able to use any centers, therefore Dig always sending us back to Pallet Town, it does actually still have a few uses. So this is where we just have to get lucky with the trash cans. Only about half the trash cans can actually have the switch in it. And after that, the potential correct answers are incredibly limited. Some of them have like 4 options. Some of them have like 2, like that one, which is why I saved. And that immediately has me gave me the save for search as well, so that's kind of convenient. There is a can manip, but I don't know it. I started running Pokemon Red well before manips were a thing, so I don't actually know too many of the manips. The Nido manip is very important for this run, but all of the other ones, not so much. So we do have to kind of get a little bit lucky on this fight, because the Raichu isn't a guaranteed one-shot, and in order to save a power point, and just to save some time in general, we kind of have to try and go for Trash. We got a bit unlucky. Have to go for an extra one. I should have enough spares that this shouldn't matter. And if it does turn out to be an issue, we'll figure something out when we get there. So out of the gym, and well, since we can't warp back, we're just gonna do another walk of shame all the way back to Celadon. We never set a warp point, so that's not an option for us, so we'll just have to walk back the slow way. Here's Sankey and Unparalleled, thank you. Fortunately, we Get a little unlucky with the encounters. Our encounter rate has been pretty bad this run. Since we don't have the option to buy anything, we also don't have the option to buy repels, which kind of sucks, honestly. That's probably the worst part about this run. We have to deal with random encounters, which in the normal run by this point, we wouldn't have to anymore. As we make our way to Celadon, the only thing we want to get there is the bike, and then we're going to teach our next move again. We just got the TM for Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt is incredibly useful for some of the upcoming fights. We're going to teach that over Horn Attack. We don't have any Horn Attack power points left anyway. Or, well, we may have like one, but we basically have none left anyway. Get the bike to the first slot, and we're going to teach this. And we're going to teach that over Horn Attack. I had to look for a moment to see where Horn Attack was in my menu again. Nope. Didn't mean to do that. Meant to do that. So the next fight is commonly referred to as Forter and Thrash Girl. But we have Mega Punch, and I'd rather rely on a 90% than relying on a 50%, so yeah, we're just going to use Mega Punch turn 1. It's just the safer option, honestly. There it is. Mega Punch should still be able to one-shot it, well, with a crit especially. And that gets us enough that I can guarantee the remaining 3 kills with Thrash. I gotta see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, we have one more spare Thrash, I think. We should be good here. Yeah, we don't actually kill any random encounters at this point in the run, because we just don't have the power points for it, and it's not really worth it. There are very few situations where killing extra encounters for experience would be worth it, and by this point that's just not a thing anymore. Okay, so this is the last trainer on this route that we need to do. And then once we're done with this, we can move towards Rock Tunnel and pick up an extra Super Potion before it. In a normal glitchless run, I'd actually want my health to be relatively low by this point, to try and set up a red bar, which can save quite a bit of time in Rock Tunnel. But with the nature of this run and how unreliable it is, we are not going to do that. That is way too dangerous. Also, regardless, it will mean that we have to use an extra heal item, and I'm not too inclined to do that right now. So right here, there's a Super Potion. Very convenient. Now you'd think that we would need Flash, but since we can actually see the walls, I don't really care. There's not really a need for us to do so. Most of these fights are incredibly free. We have the combination of Bubble Beam and Thunderbolt to pretty much get us through every fight. The level 30 level up here is kind of important. The level 30 guarantees us that we will be able to one-shot the... I think it's Oddish or Bulbasaur, one of the two, on one of the fights coming up. If we wouldn't be able to one-shot it, it could potentially, like, give us some status effects, and things just get very nasty very quickly. Yeah, Gen 2 Dark Caves are really tough. You can get used to them, but, like, after a couple of runs, I know I had a pretty easy time with them, but they can definitely throw you off if you're not used to them. We've got the Slowpoke here, easy one shot, and then we're gonna move on. Then we have this fight. This fight can, in a normal glitchless run, be a little bit dangerous if you happen to miss the range. Because oftentimes you'll be level 29 instead of level 30. But because we have to do more fights, we're always going to be higher level here. Yeah, there are, you can change some palettes in Pokemon Red and Blue, and some of those palettes actually make it easier to see in the dark as well. For this run though, we're not really gonna need to. I should know my way around this place, even though it's been a while. The one unfortunate thing we have to deal with is I was never able to buy repels, so again, we just have to hope for as few random encounters as possible. That's just one of the RNG parts that just happens to come into play with this particular category. Now the cool thing about a run like All Centers, All Marts like this is just there are so many things that you have to think about that you normally don't even consider. I'm actually in the process of trying to do a lot of gens No Centers, No Mart, because they're just really fun to try and to see how far you can get. Because it makes you think about a run like this just in such a different way. I've managed to do this for Pokemon Crystal as well, and it was a challenge, but it was a lot of fun to try that, and you know, I can definitely recommend it. If you're interested in trying a not too run-of-the-mill Pokemon run, I would definitely recommend trying this one out. My notes are public on speedrun.com on the extension leaderboard, so if anybody is ever interested in trying a quirky little challenge speedrun, this is definitely an easy one to start with, because it requires very little knowledge of RNG manipulations and whatnot. So here, a hiker we have to deal with. He just has 2 Geodudes and a Graveler, so we can just Bubble Beam everything. Easy fight. And then there's only one trainer left in this cave after this.
Or while you're Bubble Beaming away here, we do have a quick donation.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a $24 donation from Killa, aka Derperino, saying donut. And they have put the donation towards the secret donut in the wonderful end of the world. Thank you for your donation.
This room, there's quite a few NPC trainers that I have to make sure I dodge. Most of these, they wouldn't normally be too scary, but they're still going to waste a lot of time, and we don't need that extra experience. I'm going to let this trainer walk towards me, because it would be too many extra steps, and we do still have to consider random encounters as well now. I'll just do it like this. And with this fight, we're just going to use Thrash one more time. There's only one more fight before I can get to use one of the elixirs. Now, in a little bit, I am actually going to buy something at a Mart, which seems a bit counterintuitive because this is a No Centers, No Marts run, but in order to make the run work, there are 2 places where I have to buy something. I've mentioned this at the start of the run as well, and I'll quickly mention it again now. The first of those 2 is coming up soon. I have to buy a freshwater at the Celadon Mart. And that is because the game would be impossible to beat if we don't buy it. Within the rules of this category, we have made those 2 exceptions. It's that one, and it's one visit at the Safari Zone, because they are actually impossible to avoid. Yes, a cycle of Thrash only uses 1 power point, and that's one of the reasons why Thrash is so useful in this run, because I can pretty much keep using it for free. Unfortunately, we didn't get that range. We are not allowed to buy an extra freshwater to get Ice Beam. That is not allowed. So, contrary to a normal glitchless run, we don't actually have access to Ice Beam. That is one of the moves that we have to figure out a workaround. And we have figured out a workaround. Not a pretty workaround, but it works. Okay, so this is where we're going to use the elixir. Get my PP back up, and now I need to focus for just a moment. Two tiles off, that's okay. A nice little backup elixir we can get. We're gonna need that. Why can't I buy another Ice Beam? Because it would still be buying something. And this being a no centers, no mart run, the definition of not using a center is as broad as possible. Even to the point where extra Safari Zone visits would not be allowed either. And we mainly do that to just have it as clear as possible. Any form of spending money counts as shopping. So that right there, me picking up that freshwater, that is one of the only two exceptions that we make to that rule. And that's simply because we have to. It's more like spend minimum money and don't take any heals anywhere. They do not, because the daycare would also require me buying the Pokemon back. We get the HM for Fly here. It's a glitchless run, Vindicate. That's absolutely possible, but glitched, this wouldn't really be a challenge. Now, normally, actually, hold on, let me do the menu first correctly. I believe that's it. Okay, so normally we would now go to Lavender, and we would tackle the Pokemon Tower. Problem is, we can't actually see any of the ghost Pokemon. That's not a thing. So we have to actually do the rocket sequence here that we normally don't ever have to do. That's another this is probably the biggest difference between this run and a regular any percent glitchless run. This completely changes everything just because we have to go down here. I need the Sylph Scope to be able to see the Ghost Marowak in order to be able to get the Pokeflute in the first place. Whereas in a normal run, I would be allowed to buy a Pokédoll and use that. Yes, the free heal in Pokemon Tower is not allowed. We're going to be skipping that. That's probably the worst one that we need to skip. But there is a method for us to skip the free heal in Pokemon Tower. It's not pretty, but it's possible. Oh, Sankey, it is absolutely possible, and we are going to be skipping it. Yep, it's possible. You'll see it in a little bit. It does actually require us to do an extra battle, but we can skip it, therefore we skip it. Like I said, we are doing this run in the most purest form. The main reason, by the way, why that particular one isn't allowed either, and why we defined centers, a better way to word it would be no free heals, no shopping. Which kind of sums up the category a little bit better, but historically it's been called no centers, no mart. And the reason we do that is because if you start allowing things like that, you're also going to be allowing things like the mom heal, for example, which kind of defeats the purpose of the run, because we could still heal all throughout the run. We don't want to do that, because it works, but it kind of defeats the entire purpose, because you would just be walking back and forth between places. It would take a lot of the interesting routing elements out of it. So that's why it essentially boils down to not so much no centers, no marts, but rather no free healing anywhere and no spending without spending money, something like that. That's kind of how the version of this category for Gen 2 uses a similar approach to that. In Gen 2, we also avoid things like heal houses, mom heals, that sort of stuff, and that's just to make sure that we stay as close to the idea as possible. Was this one right? Yes. So that's TM7, very important move for us. TM7 contains Horn Drill, because we are still going to use that. No centers, no marts, no items would be literally impossible. Okay, so we're gonna go in here. Yeah, the unavoidable heals, we still... that's fine. For the Gen 2 version of this run, there's actually 2 story heals that you still get, and there's no way to avoid them. So we just kind of allow them. Because there's no way to skip it either. It's the same with this run, where we have to buy a freshwater regardless. There's just not a way for us to skip that. Therefore, it's allowed. Well, okay, it's maybe not literally impossible. It's just, I don't see that as being a thing, honestly. Thank you, Danger. Danger, I'll post the link in chat again in a moment, and that goes for everybody watching in my stream. Be sure to check out the ESA stream right now. That's where the restream of this run is happening. That's honestly the more interesting one to look at right now. Thunderbolt. And then we're gonna trash from here. Oh, that could be bad. Of course we missed twice. Of course we missed 3 times. Yeah, I'm gonna have to switch out here. That's nasty. So this isn't the end of the world, but this kind of sucks. That counts as a center, Bubber. Me fainting to get my power points back absolutely counts as a center. Okay, that was not a good fight. It should be alright. We should be able to still deal with this. Yes, if I were to faint, I'd be back at the start of the game, but we have Fly, so I can get pretty much anywhere anyway. Okay, so this is the last part, or the last fight down here, and then we're gonna get to probably my least favorite part in this run. We're about to come up to the Pokemon Tower, and the tower normally is not that bad, but because of our difference in moveset, this next part actually becomes incredibly annoying. Normally speaking, I would do the Pokemon Tower, and we would basically be using Rock Slide for every Ghost-type Pokemon. But unfortunately, Rock Slide isn't a move we have access to. because that would require me buying something at the Mart, so we can't do that. So instead, we are going to gonna have to use a combination of bubble beams and thunderbolts. Also, a quick revisit to Pallet Town, and then we're gonna fly to Lavender. Yeah, lots of dangerous fights. My PB actually has a death in this dungeon. To what is technically an optional trainer, but for this, because we can't do the shopping for this run, it's a very required trainer. So yeah, we'll kind of see how it goes. Let's just say that this is definitely the part that I am always the most scared of when doing the run. Like the early game in this part. Normal strat here would be to use an X accuracy and then horn drill a bunch of times. But since we normally over the course of a run I'd be using like 10 X accuracies, we only have access to like I think 2. So yeah, that's not gonna help us. So instead, we're just gonna use normal moves and hope for the best. Yeah, we've had a few fights that we have to reset, Johnny. That's why there's a time difference there. This run had a really bad early game, which is unfortunate, but it kind of just happens with this. Okay, so that fight's done. That's the first one out of the way. And now comes Lavender Tower. Now the good part about Lavender Tower, and that is like it's one good side for us, there are multiple elixirs here. And those elixirs are going to be quite a big help throughout the run. I mean, they're kind of required for us, no doubt, but... Thank you, Wormwood. We're gonna just use Nidoking. Nidoking is our main for the entire game, pretty much. It generally speaking with any Pokemon speedrun, but it counts for these especially, it's generally just not worth it for me to catch other Pokemon. I don't have the resources for it. The experience would get spread over multiple Pokemon, making each individual Pokemon even weaker. It's just not worth it. Okay, this is what I was afraid of. These Ghastlies are all 2 shots. And if we start hitting ourselves in confusion like that, it can be a big deal. Now, I can deal with this. This is still fine. We don't need Lapras. Also, the Lapras would be like level 15 or something, so it's just not worth it. You could do the entire run with Blastoise, that's an option, but then you would have to do the entire run with Blastoise. It's level 20, that's still not worth it though. So down here, you see that heal tile. Very important for us that we skip it. The Super Potion here. Save the game. Because there is a way around it for us. Has to do with this trainer. See, this trainer right here, she's blocking the path. But the range is big enough that if I stand here, a path will open up and I can just pass it, no problem. So let's deal with the Haunter. This is going to be another 2-shot. And we're just going to have to deal with confusion. Okay, this time we broke through the confusion. Okay, this next trainer is the trainer I died on in my PB. And this is actually an optional trainer, but the item that you see down there, that's an X accuracy. And X accuracies in this game are stupidly broken. So we actually kind of need it. So, yeah, we're just gonna have to deal with this fight. Nightshades are fine. The biggest thing is I kind of would like to at least crit some of these Ghastlies, because if we get a crit, we can just one-shot them, and they wouldn't be nearly as scary. Lick is fine if we don't get paralyzed. That's another thing. Lick is generally fine, but what happened in my PB here is I got paralyzed early on, and had to heal that off, and then got paralyzed again. Basically meaning that I didn't have the heal to get me out of paralysis towards the end. So basically this happened. We might be dead here. Okay, we're not dead here. We have one full restore. We're gonna have to use it. Oh yeah, Kid Me thought X items were completely worthless, but yeah, it turns out not so much. Yeah, that X accuracy, I believe we use it for the champion? I want to say we use it for the champion, or either that or Lorelei. Or both, honestly. No. There is another one. The next rival fight. Okay, we can Bubble Beam. I can't deal with another paralysis, sadly. We've lost that backup. What I can do, however, is use an elixir here. Is that fine? Yes, I can do that. It allows me to use Thunderbolt instead, which is just a little bit more powerful, and we have enough elixirs anyway. Yeah, I can use rare candies to revive. The problem with having to use rare candies to revive is I don't have any secondary Pokemon right now. Like, I would still need another Pokemon to also be alive. That's not a thing. Okay, one more Channeler and then we're through this place. No, my PB is not deathless. My PB took a death in the tower here.
Speaking of other Pokemon, we are going to do a quick swap around on the hosts now. So you're going to have TMHTF Senpai coming in a couple of minutes.
All right.
He'll be taking over for the next slot. But good luck with the rest of the run here, and I will be watching you from chat.
Thank you, and thank you for joining me here. Catching could be worth it, but we only have 2 Pokeballs.
Alright, so here's Senpai. Good luck, and I will see you guys later.
I'm gonna immediately just turn him up to 200% because it's probably gonna be needed.
Hello?
Hello. Yeah, that was definitely needed.
Okay. So can you hear me good?
I can hear you just fine. I'll leave to chat if you're hearable on their end as well.
Okay, wait, let me check chat. Donut. But... Okay, so I just quickly introduce myself and then let you go on with. So my name is TMHTF Senpai, and thank you UKSG for letting me do this. Don't forget, everyone, we're raising money to support Crisis, so please don't. And yeah, good luck, Crrool.
Since you asked for it, and since I actually had the time to type it out, there you go. Maybe a tiny bit louder? I'll try to do that in a bit. No promises, though. Okay, let me see if I can do that. In the meantime, I am gonna have to pay attention to these rocket grunts, because these fights are actually kind of a thing. Okay, I've turned her up ever so slightly. But I don't think I can do much more than that, because I've pretty much got it maxed out on my end. Unfortunately, my GameCube's audio is always stupidly loud, so balancing audio when running anything on my GameCube is just, it's a disaster. Okay, 2 more grunts to go, and then we've got ourselves the Poké Flute, and we can actually move on. The Poké Flute, like this sequence, this is pretty much one of the last really dangerous sequences for me. Like after this, a lot of it is just going to be a boss rush to complete everything else. There are still some dangerous parts, but after this, things tend to be a lot safer throughout. Okay, one more fight to go here. We're going to use Thunderbolt on the Zubat at the start, and then Flash from there. Also, I saw somebody earlier mention that he thought I was still on PB pace. I am not. I am absolutely not on PB pace here. Xanaris, usually I would actually run off DS because of the better quality, but that doesn't work for Game Boy Color games. My GBA runs I usually do on DS. We talk to this guy, and he's going to give us the Poké Flute, and from here we can finally get out of this part. And we're about to actually do our second quote-unquote shopping in the game. Although this one isn't nearly as much considered a mart. We do buy something, therefore it counts. But this is the other one that's going to be allowed because we have to, because we need to get into the Safari Zone. So here we go. We go talk to this guy, or to the Snorlax here. Use the Poké Flute. Now on the next route there are 2 hidden items that we're going to be picking up before we actually head into the Safari Zone. And then in the Safari Zone itself there's going to be a few items as well. Right, no repels. I'm so used to using a repel at some point here, but that's not really an option. But first off, this rare candy. The rare candies are just... we need those levels at some point. Over the course of the run, just the experience management is very different from what you would normally have in an any percent glitchless run. So, and even in any percent glitchless, we pick that up. But we kind of just need all of the rare candies we can get. Don't think his range is big enough, but I'm not going to risk it. I don't remember exactly how big it is. But I need this one. Max Elixir. Now that we have that, it's onto the Safari Zone. The Safari Zone we need to enter because of the gold teeth and surf, which is basically surf and strength. And on top of that, conveniently for us, there is some heal items there that we can pick up as well. Those will play quite a role later on. Well, mostly Pokemon Wormwood. I guess I can mention that in general again. It's been like a good hour since I've done that, so in case anybody in the ESA stream likes seeing Pokemon runs, I aim to run Pokemon about like 5 days a week. I don't like usually I make at least 3, usually 4. So if you like seeing Pokemon runs, I don't just do this one either. I pretty much run every Pokemon game out there. If you like seeing that sort of stuff, be sure to drop by my channel, drop a follow, and yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, the Safari Zone purchase, the entry there, it's just there's no way around it. It's required. We are actually, like, it is allowed for me to catch Pokemon here. My PB actually catches a Doduo or something by accident. Generally, it's not worth it, though. Only one encounter in Safari Zone. That's really good. That's a really good Safari Zone. I believe... of course I have no more room for items. That was gonna be a thing soon anyway, so... Is there anything I can drop? That's kind of a thing. I don't know what to get rid of here. I can teach this. Yeah, I can do that now. So I can over Mega Punch, right? Normally we do this a little bit later, but I'm not going to use Mega Punch anymore anyway. I can't use the fresh water. I need to use that how do you say? To enter Saffron in a bit. No, it's fine. I can get Surf here. We good. And dig out. Okay, it's fine. We made it work. At least for the time being. Now it's kind of normal. Yeah, I don't want to use the PC. I can use it, but we shouldn't need to. Our power at the end of the day, it should all kind of work out again. Yes, it does, Vindicate. It does. But yeah, like it'll be fine. Things will work out in the end. So we have another little thing to deal with here. We have to do this tower, and there are actually quite a kind of a couple of fights that could be a problem for us. We'll see. We'll see if they will be. Usually they're not. Usually this place is pretty easygoing, but there are a few fights that can actually give me some trouble. I mean, the point being, we have to give the fresh water to the guard anyway, you know, because you gotta stay hydrated and all that. And Well, it's fine. It'll work out. We defeat the Rocket Grunt here. We now have one slot open in our inventory. And we actually kind of have to use that because otherwise I don't have enough room. Because we get this Carbos. I'm going to just use that right away. We need that tiny bit of extra speed in order to make sure that we make some... or we actually outspeed some Pokemon that we wouldn't otherwise because of the lack of X speeds. Normally we wouldn't because of X speeds, but with this run it actually kind of makes a difference. I could do that, yeah, but it's this... no, like I said, there shouldn't be a need for it. We have enough room in our inventory for me to make it work, and I actually want a little bit of... let me make sure I say this correctly. I actually want my inventory to be close to full, because it saves some time later on as well. By having my inventory full at the end of a gym fight, we don't get the text of obtaining the TM and the explanation of what that TM does, which actually saves a little bit of time as well, so we actually kind of want our inventory to be full. We also just got access to the move Earthquake. That's going to be a big thing here for the next part. But before we actually go for the rival, which is another thing, like that's pretty much our next stop, but there's actually a few items here that we can pick up that you might not know about. See, there's an elixir in here. That one's quite helpful. And then if we go up one floor, in the very bottom left side of this floor, there should be another item that I can pick up. Be very careful to not hit any trainers. I believe it's this one. It could be the other one. Yes, it's that one. No, in Gen 1, boxes don't actually heal your Pokemon. That only started in Gen 2. Okay, now that we have that X accuracy, we're going to use some of these rare candies. We're going to candy ourselves all the way to level 41. We kind of need this to be fast enough to deal with some of the Pokemon that we have to fight coming up. Normally we would wait with the leveling a little bit longer and we would level after Koga, but for this run we need to be a higher level for certain fights because I don't have an X speed. And if the Alakazam hits me with like Psychic or something, we're pretty dead. Okay, so the rival here is a fairly straightforward fight. We're going to use an X accuracy and then just Horn Drill a bunch. Because we're so limited in the amount of X accuracies that we have, I can pretty much just use all of my Horn Drills in one fight. That's fine. Before the next fight where I actually get to use another X accuracy, I'll have used an Elixir anyway, so this just works out. But even though some of these Pokemon I could normally do without Horn Drill, it just works out better to do it like this. Yeah, here you can see we actually outspeed the Alakazam. This is why those extra levels were important. Without those extra levels, we would not outspeed that. And that takes care of that fight. With that out of the way, we've got 2 more fights in here. We've got a Rocket Grunt and then Giovanni. And once those are done, we can move on to do a bunch of gym leaders, because we are already 2 hours in and we still only have 3 badges. I should probably get started on that. The thing with Gen 1 speedruns in particular is we don't actually get any badges, or we get the first few like at a pretty normal pace, and then we don't get any for a long time while we pretty much clear out the entire remainder of the game. And then we rush for the last few badges. So despite us being nearly 2 hours in, we still only have 3 badges. But we're gonna change that very soon. Okay, that fight's done. We've got one more fight with Giovanni. Now this fight shouldn't be too dangerous. In general, like I said, we've gone through most of the very dangerous fights. Earthquake Nidorino. So because normally I'd use an X accuracy and we'd be using a few horn drills, we don't do that, we don't have access to it. So instead we're just going to use a combination of Earthquakes and Thunderbolts and a Bubble Beam for the next Pokemon to make it work. Yeah, my first playthrough I got the batch from Sabrina before Koga as well. It just kinda happens. That's kind of the fun thing with the Gen 1 speedrun. We have a lot of freedom in which order we tackle gyms. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we're gonna dig out, fly to Fuchsia City, and we're actually going to go for another gym. Because it has been a while. Now, I'm going to attempt to set up Red Bar during this next gym. It doesn't always work. My PB didn't actually manage to get it. But it can be worth it for me to try it. If it works out, which chances are it won't. But if it works out, we actually could potentially save quite a bit of time. If it doesn't work out, we could potentially lose quite a bit of time. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure it'll be fine. So this fight's just 4 Earthquakes, pretty straightforward. Normally I would use an Elixir after this fight, but I'm actually only going to use it after the fight after this. Because we actually have 2 Earthquakes left now instead of just the 1. And we're going to use the Max Ether. Without going into it too much, because I don't like talking about how handholdy certain games have become and whatnot, Sun and Moon's definitely worse, no doubt. Like, the speedrun of Sun and Moon is not a very fun one at all. Okay, so this Juggler, the second Pokemon's actually not necessarily going to die in one hit. We can just use Bubble Beam if it doesn't die. It'll be fine. Normally we'd have Ice Beam by this point, but yeah, something, shopping. Oh, we actually got it. Nice. I'm not sure if that's a range or not. Maybe because of the higher level it's not. Okay. That one's alive. Good. Max Ether. Earthquake. Save the game. But yeah, Chat, I hope you'd be okay if we move away from complaining about later generations and comparing it to earlier ones, because it's a really annoying topic. And I mean, I'm saying that as a Pokemon speedrunner, because like leading up to the release of Sword and Shield, there's been nothing but that. It would come up like 4 times every stream, and it gets very exhausting. So, hence why I figured I'd ask at least. Okay, so one more Earthquake. The last one, we're like on the Weezing here, we're actually going to do a very interesting, different strat. We are not going to be attacking him, because I kind of need the power points, and I kind of want to be very low on health. So instead what we're going to do is I'm going to use the Poke Flute. You can use that in battle. We're going to play a catchy tune. Dying there isn't a big deal, by the way. So this is basically the cutscene that I'm gonna be trying to skip as much as possible. Now there is one downside of being this low health. It can save us a lot of time, but it is also very risky. We'll see how long we can keep it going for. Chances are I'm going again very soon, but... we get HM4 here. We're gonna fly away though. We're gonna use the remaining... or first things first, we're gonna teach Strength. And then I should still have a rare candy. And then we can fly to Pallet Town. Now, I could now go to Erica's gym, but I don't have Ice Beam. And normally in Erica's gym we'd be using Ice Beam a bunch to get through it. Since we don't, it's a bit of an alternative strat, which basically boils down to we're going to go to the mansion first, and A, get a few rare candies, because those are really... B, we're gonna get Blizzard. Because that's a pretty decent alternative. In Gen 1, Blizzard is 85% accurate, so it's reasonably accurate. It's not perfect. It has some problems, but it's something we can pretty much... we can work with. Again, we don't have any... Oh, sorry.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm kind of mad because we don't get any new donations. So chat, for those who do not know what you're donating for, is we're collecting money. For those of you who don't know what Crisis is about, it's it's a charity that... oh, sorry. It's a charity that offer they get advice and curses for homeless areas across England, Scotland, and Wales, and I think it's a really good thing. So chat, please donate.
Okay. As I was saying, like we're through this place again, and we still don't have any. There's just not any we get to pick up. We're just gonna make our way through very slowly. One of the places where having red bar below 20% HP actually saves us quite a bit of time, because we get to at least skip the Nidoking jingle every time. I think that saves about 1.5 seconds or something every single fight. So it tends to add up quite a bit. We pick up the Carbos here as well. I still want to use that extra Carbos because that just helps with outspeeding Pokemon. And then we're going to go down here and pick up the TM for Blizzard. Ah, we have no more move. That's not the first time. Okay, just going to use that. That's fine. TM 14. We're gonna teach that over Bubble Beam just before I start picking up some rare candy, and then we're gonna use most of the rare, or we're gonna use, I think just one of the 2 rare candies, because the last one is saved up for later. Actually use 1 rare candy at the very end of the run, and that's just to help us with the champion fight. We've got here. I'm gonna just teach Blizzard now, just so that I don't run into the issue of not having room in my inventory again. Over Bubble Beam. Then I can go around here, pick up the 2 rare candies. I'm probably gonna have to get rid of TM4. I probably should have done that already. I think I still need to. But I can do that when we're in the menu again. Rare candy over there. Rare candy over here. And then the item down here is the secret key, which is why we needed to be in this place in the first place. So use 1 rare candy still, give us at least a little bit more health to work with, and another level. Give us that extra bit of power that we need. Get the secret key, and now we can get out again. So we now have an 85% hit move, and we are going to have to rely on it a number of times. So here's to hoping. That's really all there is to it. Here's to hoping. Unfortunately, there really just isn't a better alternative for Ice Beam that we can pick up. And Blizzard, luckily, at least is reasonably accurate in this game, but there is a chance that we miss one, and that could potentially be devastating. I will actually save in this gym, if only because of how devastating it can be. Game. And there we go. So we need to use Blizzard 4 times. I can theoretically miss once and be okay, assuming I don't get hit with anything. If we get hit by another move, we get put to sleep, we get paralyzed, then that would be a problem. But time for gym number 5, or technically gym number 4, but we're doing it as our 5th one. Again, we need to try and just hit everything. We just have to hope for it. Not a lot of strats to this part. Luckily, most of these Pokemon have at least a chance of doing something that doesn't actually hurt us. I think in my PB run, I actually missed a Blizzard and got put to sleep or something, which is why I lost Red Bar here. I mean, still not PB pace, but that can happen. Yeah, this is where I meant with, because our inventory is full here, we don't actually get the TM, which means we also get to skip the explanation of the TM, and that's kind of convenient for us. Saves us a little bit of time. Hey, chat, it's time for a quiz. Because the Cinnabar Gym is actually just this giant quiz that we have to do. Let's test our Pokemon knowledge. First question: Does Caterpie evolve into Butterfree? The answer is yes, even though there's a Metapod in between. They do that. Question number 2. There are 9 badges. That is not correct. No, there's only 8. Or 10. Or 16, depending on your source. Okay, this one. Poliwag evolves 3 times. It does not. I mean, Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal has 16, so... 1. Thunder moves, are they effective against ground element Pokemon? Nope, they are not. By the way, it may look as if I keep hitting yes, but I'm either mashing A or B depending on the question. Okay, next one. Pokemon of the same kind and same level are not always identical, and that is true because that's where DVs come in. It plays quite a big role in Pokemon speedrunning. And then the last one, already been referenced in chat. TM28 contains Tombstoner, and that is true, yes. See? Here we go, Blaine. This is not generally a scary fight. Yeah, pretty quick. Pokemon genders aren't a thing yet. Tombstone is actually the remakes. That in the original it was Tombstoner. Okay, 3 down, 1 more to go. Let's see if we can get the last one. And there we go. So that is our fight against Blaine. Not a difficult gym, luckily. And with him done, it is time for us to move to Sabrina. Before we do, use an elixir. And we're gonna dig out. Okay, Saffron City Gym is next. This is... We're now getting pretty close already to the end of the game. We've got 2 more gyms to do, the 6th one and the 8th one. Our power points are looking good. Our health is scary low with only 9 HP. But we have enough heal items, so right now things are actually looking pretty good. Solution for this gym luckily is pretty easy. It's diagonal, diagonal, and then down. And then once we have that, we can just go face Sabrina. I will save because speed ties and I'm just terrified of this fight in general. I noticed a small mistake here in my notes, and I remember that mistake because it screwed me over in my PB. In my PB, it says in my notes it said Earthquake times 3. So I figured, oh, I can stall with using the elixir one more time, but there's actually 4 Pokemon in our team. And in my PB, I noticed that mid-fight, so I was short an Earthquake, so I had to use an elixir at some point, which made things very finicky. Sorry, made things very finicky on this fight. Very scary because of that. But now we actually have enough. I did things the way we were supposed to, and with that, easy fight.
Can I interrupt again?
Yeah, sure.
So we actually have 2 donations right now. We have a donation from Anonymous with 5 dollars is a pound, dollars, I guess pound, with no comment. And then we have $10 from Anonymous as well with the comment, good luck, have fun, everyone, and stay hydrated.
Okay, next stop is Giovanni's gym. This is a gym that, normally speaking, actually does have the chance to be dangerous. But because because some of the Pokemon here are normally damage ranges, but because we are slightly higher level than we normally are, it actually isn't really. However, we do have to hit a Blizzard on this junior trainer, so we'll and one on Giovanni, but that's still a thing. Okay, so we hit that, no problem. Yeah, this next fight is normally a run killer, but we don't really have to worry about him. The difference is normally, I believe I'm like level 46 here, and now we're 48, or 47 and 49, something like that. I think it's a 2-level difference. And that small difference makes the difference between this being a damage range and this being a guaranteed kill. And that's just because we have a small difference in the amount of trainers we need to fight. This is not world record, Clouds, no. This doesn't look like it's going to PB. Not that I have world record in the first place, but, you know. Okay, so we're actually gonna leave the gym and re-enter. The spinning tiles in Gen 1 are so slow that it is worth it for us to just set that trainer back to its original position. It doesn't save much, I think it's like a second, but it actually still saves time to just actually leave the gym and re-enter. It's kind of dumb. Okay, Giovanni, the last gym leader of the game. Let's see how this fight goes. This fight is usually not a dangerous one. The only thing we have to deal with is that the last Pokemon in his team, the Rhydon, we need to use Blizzard on. That said, Rhydon almost always does Fissure, and we don't get hit by Fissure. So, realistically, nothing should be able to go wrong here. Even a Blizzard miss probably wouldn't be the end of the world. I think we should have enough Blizzards for the rival fight as well. No, that's not true. It would have been a problem. I would be short. Just looking over it now, we would actually be short. Yeah, we've actually, like earlier on I mentioned that we were on about a 243 pace. We've actually brought it back a little bit. Probably going to be about 240 at this point. Very important here that I use an Ether on Earthquake. We need those power points. I didn't have to save. Ah, well, that way I don't have to save for the rival, because the rival can be scary. Where's my bike? Have to go through this grass again. It's always kind of funny when you go through this grass and you happen to see another Nidoran male. Just shows how far we've come, because we have actually been here before. That's it, thank you. For what it's worth, again, for anybody that likes these sort of kind of memey but different challenge runs, you know, be sure to head over to my channel. We actually do these things. I wouldn't say regularly, but more often than most. We actually did this for Crystal very recently as well, and I'm hoping to do this for Sapphire in the foreseeable future too. Thunderbolt. Yes. Need to make very sure that I don't make any mistakes with my moves here. Zam, and then we have one more Pokemon left. So the Venusaur can actually be a little bit scary because it doesn't die in one hit. I was afraid that might happen. Okay, we're gonna just heal for the fight then. You really want to keep it this far. I'll probably make a note in my notes to heal before this fight. I was afraid that might happen. Yeah, we're on the final stretch now. We have the rival fight, then Victory Road, and then the Elite Four left. We are actually quite close to the end. I'm gonna make a, like I said, I'm gonna make a note here in my notes for future runs that I need to heal. Because of how rare this run is, there are still some things that haven't been thoroughly tested. Red bar strats, to see how far you can keep that, is one of those things. Because most runs up to this point have always needed to heal earlier because of a blizzard mist or something like that. So this is just a case of, you know, we learned something new. Optimizing the run just a little bit further. Now we still need to hit all three of our blizzards. Like, this fight is definitely, even now, not free. Oh yeah, I should easily be underestimate still. As of going into this part, like going into this fight, I was still 9 minutes underestimate. So even with that death, even losing me like 2 minutes there, we're still easily gonna make estimate. I'm not worried about that. Like right now, we're probably looking at about a 240, like somewhere between 240 and 245. Blizzard. Yeah, up to very recently, this was not a category that saw a lot of competition either. We've actually, like, the world record for No Centers, No Mart was actually broken earlier this week, which is kind of cool. So it's starting to see some activity again, and it's honestly, like I said, for the category extensions, the less serious side runs you can do, this is definitely one of the more fun ones to do. It adds such a different twist to the run. That trying to optimize this, it feels very different from how you would normally go about it. And there is still a lot of optimizations that can be made as well, honestly. This run is far from optimized. What's my favorite Pokemon game? Casually, Hard Gold, Speedrun, Gold. The speedrun for Hard Gold is tough. It's so brutal. We're gonna get into the water here. There's one more item that I need to pick up before we head into Victory. Actually, two more items that I need to pick up before we head into Victory Road. One of them is over here. We can get another Max Ether. Then we go up. There is one more item, and this is the last item here was actually one that I didn't know existed until I started working on this run. But at the very top, just before we enter Victory Road, right over here, there's actually a hidden full restore. It does mean we have to do 3 extra tiles of grass. Usually that's worth it. Unfortunately, we got unlucky with this ditto right here. And with that, we are in Victory Road. We finally made it to the final part of the run. Now, Victory Road itself, in Gen 1, really not that interesting. There's very little that actually happens here. Like, the dungeon itself, none of the trainers are required. We're actually going to try to dodge every single one of them. Yeah, we're going to do the entire Elite Four with just one Pokemon. We don't have the time to invest on grinding out more than one Pokemon, so we just use Nidoking. Now Dux is going to make an appearance, actually, because we're going to be abusing the game's AI on Lorelei to actually manipulate that fight into being an easy win. So we will actually very briefly see Farfetch'd show up again. Okay, so we're going to use Strength again here. The random encounters we're just going to have to keep dealing with. Nothing we can do to avoid them. To be fair, as a kid, same, Pazzy. As a kid, I just used my starter for the entire game. Yeah, I saw Roald. Good luck with the homework, dude. And to anyone still watching in my stream, I mean, you're welcome to stick in my stream, of course, but strongly recommend checking out the ESA channel. UKSG is going on there this weekend, and it's bound to be a very fun event, so definitely worth checking out. And it's where the restream happens, and honestly, where things look a little bit more interesting than they do on my end. Okay, we're actually going to try something really cool in a bit. I don't know if I can get it, but there is a super small glitch that I want to showcase here if I can. It actually loses time. I think it loses 2 frames done optimally. So it's definitely not worth it. That's why nobody makes a big deal of people doing that. It's a cool little swag strat. See if I can do it. Oh. There we go. That's what we call a swag boulder, where you push the boulder, but the animation happens on a different tile. Okay, well, we could only do 2, but that's okay. I got to showcase it at least. I don't know how much it actually loses, Sankey. I heard somewhere, I think, that it was 2 frames, but it might be more than that. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't care either. But I seem to remember hearing somewhere that it was something along those lines. Oh yeah, that's why I said if done optimally. Yes. That's a thing. Okay, we're getting a little bit unlucky with the encounter rate here. Again, there's just nothing we can do about that. We just have to, unfortunately, deal with what the game gives us here. Exactly, Prozac. In the Pokemon Crystal version of this run, we actually can pick up a few repels. Not nearly enough, but we have a repel for, like, Mount Silver and whatnot. Because there are a few that we can actually do there. But I think even in that, like even in Crystal, we have I think 3 repels over the course of the entire run or something, or 2. It's very limited. Although this encounter rate is absolutely atrocious, honestly. Even for a no centers, no Mart, this is really bad. Trying to do another swag boulder here, but... Okay, what was that? Not quite going the way I had planned it to. Just gonna go over here. At least we got 2 swag boulders. There's worse things in the world than that. At least I got to showcase what it's like to do one. Okay, so down here we have one more item. There's a full restore over there. That's our last heal item that we're going to be picking up. And with that, it is time for the Elite Four. So, final stretch here. We still have 5 more battles to go. As a heads up for the people running tech, time will be as we fade into the credits. It's gonna probably be about another 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, save the game. So this is a fight where we actually lead Farfetch'd. This is why I wanted that repel earlier, or sorry, the revive earlier, because my flyer is alive right now. I can do an abuse of the of course. So the miss I'll explain in a moment, but because of that I can do an abuse of the AI that should allow me to make this work. Go Indy, thank you. Okay, it still worked. Not quite as I had expected, but it still worked. So what happened there at the start, Aurora Beam is a 100% accurate move, yet it still missed. You might be wondering how the heck does that happen, but every single 100% accurate move in this game has a 1 in 256 chance to miss. And if it happens on this fight, it can actually kill you. Luckily it didn't, but that's the only way you can die on Lorelei, if you miss that 1 in 256. We call it a Gen 1 miss. They fixed that for later generations, but the reason that that's a thing is because if not, due to the way that moves are coded in the game, there would otherwise be a 1 in 256 chance that moves that have no effect still hit. Okay, so yeah, we're about that 243 pace again because of the death to rival. Sounds about right. Very important, almost forgot to do that. Actually, let me swap that, because that's going to throw me off. Where's my elixirs? Okay, time for Bruno. Bruno is usually not a very dangerous fight, but we do have to hit a few blizzards. Okay, so this fight is fairly straightforward. Bruno is never really a dangerous fight in these runs, even in No Centers, No Mart, where we're limited in our options. I would normally be using X items for a lot of these fights, and I just don't have enough. So we just kind of have to go with it and hope for the best. Okay, one more blizzard. There's our first blizzard miss. Missing blizzard here is not necessarily a big deal. Before I need to use more blizzards again, I will get to elixir. So I don't have to worry too much about that miss. So he used an X defend, which means I actually have to switch to a different strat. I'm going to be using Thunderbolt instead. Because of the X defend, Earthquake wouldn't have killed, and I need those Earthquake power points. Okay, now for another fight that is known to be interesting. I'm gonna heal to full here. Do I still have enough? Yeah, I have 3 full restores. We should be alright. Because the Lance fight... Lance is still scary, by the way. That's just how it's going to be. Lance is absolutely terrifying in this run. In order to even be able to win the Lance fight in this, we already need basically perfect stats. If our special is not essentially perfect, we would not be able to get through that fight. Okay, that switch is fine. Agatha can do some weird things sometimes, honestly. Because of those 2 Carboses that we picked up and the fact that we're a little bit higher level though, I am actually faster than pretty much all of her Pokemon. And that is essentially why we needed those. It saves so much trouble on this part. We get another level up here. Lastly is the Gengar. And that is Agatha. That was a really good fight. The the Golbat can do some nasty things sometimes because it isn't a one-shot, but things worked out. Yo, congrats, Roald. An early happy birthday then. Okay, time for Lance. Now, like I said, Lance is absolutely terrifying. We're gonna use that last elixir here, we're gonna save the game. We're just gonna go for it, see how things go. So, the thing with Lance is, he leads this Gyarados, and Gyarados here has Hydro Pump. A crit always kills us. A non-crit on low special always kills you. You normally use an X special here. Thunderbolt or Hyper Potion is interesting, but that's okay. This is what I mean. This is why I said this fight is scary. I am gonna have to heal that though. So all of those rare candies extra that we've been picking up throughout the run, this is what it amounted to. But yeah, then from here the fight is relatively easy. Aerodactyl can still be a problem, but most of the Pokemon we can just Blizzard. Misses are mostly fine due to the way that the AI works, as long as we don't miss too many. See, the AI is programmed in such a way that he will always try to do a super effective move, but his only super effective move is Agility, because that's a Psychic type move, which is technically super effective, except it doesn't do anything, so he's locked into doing Psychic. Okay, 2 Supersonic fails, that's good. And then we've got the last Dragonite, 1 more Blizzard, and that's it. That is Lance. We have 1 battle left, and then it is done. Now for this last battle, I will say in advance, animations are going to automatically be turned on. There may be a couple of bright flashes here and there. Shouldn't be too bad, but I figured it was worth mentioning at least. But we are going to use that Max Elixir we picked up. We're going to use the last rare candy because I do actually need, it does actually help me outspeeding things. Save the game one last time, and here we go. Now, you may have noticed I still have 1 X item, the X Special, and we actually kept it for this fight. We've picked that up before we even had 3 badges. So it's been nearly 2 hours since we picked it up. But, gonna get some use here. Special there. The attack is fine. T-Bolt. Yeah, even this fight is pretty much entirely routed out, so we should be able to get through it no problem. Earthquake, the Alakazam. We had to make sure that we were faster than this, but we are, so that's all good. That's the last Blizzard that we needed over the course of this run, so we are now done with our not very accurate moves. 3 more Pokemon to go. Gyarados makes for an easy one-shot here with Thunderbolt. And then we're just going to use Earthquake a few more times. I can't actually one-shot the Venusaur, but that's not really a big deal. Arcanine gets one-shot by Earthquake, Venusaur is a 2-shot, and he doesn't really have any moves that can hurt me at this point. We just Gen 1 missed. So speaking of that 1 in 256 chance to miss, there you go, that's another one. And of course he happens to crit me, slowing down this fight a bit. So unfortunately Razor Leaf is very likely to crit. Lucky for us, it should do slightly under half. Oh, he's getting ready for a Solar Beam. Do I have... Nope, we're just gonna have to hope for the best. If this crits, I'm dead. If this doesn't crit, I think I can survive it? Maybe? Okay, that was a lot closer than I expected it to be, but there we go. Time is coming up in about a minute and a little bit. So yeah, that is Pokemon Red completed without using any Pokemon Centers or Marts. Pretty fun run, like I said. Definitely worth trying out if you like to try a Pokemon Red speedrun. Like, Glitchless is fun. This one's also definitely one I can recommend. If you like watching Pokemon speedruns, like I said earlier on, I speedrun pretty much every Pokemon game. There's only like 11 that I don't run of the like 60-something games, and most of those I'm in the process of learning. So if you like seeing Pokemon runs, be sure to head over to my channel and drop a follow. Would be greatly appreciated. And maybe we'll do more centers, no Marts at some point. I still need to route it for Sapphire. But yeah, that is this run. Like I said, time will be as we fade into the credits. There's our last Pokemon, Ducks. I'll drop it myself in a moment. Icardi, thank you. Time. Icardi just tried to post my Twitch link, but I know that the bot stopped that shit dude though. So yeah, again, I hope you guys enjoyed this run. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you UKSG for allowing me to join the event, even though I wasn't originally on the schedule. It's been a lot of fun to do this. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Maybe I'll see you guys again in my stream sometime. And with that, I'm going to give it back to the folk from UKSG, and I believe up next we have